Hot take for today.
7% of people check their phones whilst having sex. That's mad.
What's the use in having love languages?
It was like a light bulb had come on because we realised that we had been trying to show each other that we loved each other in a way that the other didn't really appreciate or understand.
No, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it.
We reached a time when we realised that we were living parallel lives. We had what one person once called creeping separateness had begun. And when we've done X, Y or Z, then we'll have time for each other. And actually, the time we've got is now.
So have you found devices have accelerated this?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Hello and welcome to Couple Goals, and this is our brand new season of this podcast, and today we're doing our very first expert episode. So with this series we're going to be talking to different experts on specific topics and digging a little bit deeper and getting some wisdom from them. So I'm LJ.
And I'm Luke, and today we're going to be answering some of the questions that you yourselves have sent in, so we're really excited to look at that. Please keep sending them in, they really help us out, and it's going to make for a really interesting episode.
Fab. And we'd love for you to follow along in this journey, so please do follow us across our different social media channels. Just search for Couple Goals Pod and you'll find us.
And this week we're joined by Katharine Hill, broadcaster, author of multiple books on marriage and relationships, former family lawyer, and has spoken all across the world and nationally, internationally on things to do with relationships and marriage.
And Katharine, you've got decades of experience in couple and relationship support, and you've got loads of insight to share with us today on how people can really work on their relationships. And you're married to Richard. You guys have been married for 40 years, which is great. And we know you as one of our directors here at Care for the Family.
One of the bosses.
Yeah. One of the bosses, exactly. Well, I'm really pleased to be here. Really, really excited at what we're going to be talking about.
Brilliant.
Well, thanks for joining us.
So at the moment, you're currently, or you're about to go on tour for Left to Their Own Devices, which is based off a book that you've written for parenting in a digital age, helping parents, equipping parents on how to handle technology, phone use, screens with their children. Now, this isn't an issue just for kids, is it? This is obviously an issue for all of us. I know me and you have had the odd tiff about who's been on their phone the longest. Do you think this is something that's affecting marriages broadly? Is this something that, obviously, we're talking to our kids about it, but should we be talking to ourselves about it as well?
No, absolutely. It was interesting. When I was writing the book, Left to Their Own Devices, I realised that although most of the content was for parents and how you parent well in a digital age, that actually the problem lies a little closer to home. And, you know, the fact that in the world of parenting that we're role models, but actually our own phone use is massively affecting our relationships. I think there's some research that says that 50% of couples, one or the other, feels that their partner is continually distracted on the phone. And that's, that's
I can believe that.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Well, a lot of this is predicated on this idea of that you talk about it in the event and in your book, the attention economy, how our attention is actually now the new currency. Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, people may have heard of the attention economy, but it means that the greatest commodity today is it's not oil or gold or precious metal, but it is attention, our attention, and the tech companies are paying billions and billions of pounds to get it. So in many ways, the reason this is hard and the reason this is an issue for relationships, for marriages, is because we're not on a level playing field. There are some big forces out there. So the algorithms, just the way that the devices are designed, they're all designed to grab our attention.
Yeah. It's hard to resist when you've got like billion-dollar tech companies forcing you to look at your screen. Like, what do you do there? Have you got any practical tips for married couples, specifically in that area, that would help them to fight against these forces forcing us to look at our phones? Yeah,
definitely. Well, just realising, first of all, so... we often say if you're having a cup of coffee with someone, you're out for a coffee together maybe, and even if the phone is on the table, it's a distraction. But if you are on your phone, there are other people that are joining in that conversation. Or if you're in bed and checking your social media feed, then it feels there are other people in the bedroom. Or even if you're watching a film together and one of you's just deleting emails, it's not a shared experience.
Double screening.
So, good one. So that's why it's important. And there's loads of practical things that we can do. But I think it takes, first of all, recognising it's a a problem. I live in Bristol, and I think many listeners will have heard of Banksy, the graffiti artist. And there's this brilliant bit of art on one of the walls in Bristol, and it's called I think it's called Mobile Embrace, something like that. And Mobile Lovers, that's right. And so there's basically a couple giving each other a hug, but both of them have got a phone in their hand, and they're actually just looking over the other's shoulder at the phone.
Yeah,
very clever.
What a great picture.
But anyway, practical things that you can do. So first of all, I think recognising it's an issue, and if we're distracted every moment that we're on our phone, we're not paying attention to our husband, our wife, our partner. And of course, they're important. Digital things are important. They're part of life. We couldn't really manage life without them. Couldn't have done the pandemic without them. But nevertheless, every time that we look at them, we're actually making a choice to look at that rather than do something else. So I think, number one, realising it's an issue. And then being intentional and talking together about it, realising that this isn't some sort of unilateral thing that one of us is going to try and impose, but actually, let's talk together. We're on the same side here. How can we put good boundaries in place? So really basic things like meal times. Do you have phones at the meal table? Maybe a big one, I would say, keep phones out of the bedroom.
Yep.
So there's all sorts of reasons why that's a bad idea, but I came across this crazy stat the other day that said that 7% of people actually check their phones whilst having sex. Can you believe that?
That's mad.
That's a bit crazy, but it's more that, anyway, the whole distraction.
How does the other person not get annoyed by that?
Well, I think they do. I think that's our problem.
Yeah, rightly so.
And then just, deciding. So if you're going out for a date, leave the phone at home. We don't actually have to have them all the time. I would say 100% charging the phones outside the bedroom at night. That's a good one. And just, creating space where you decide that you are going to put your phones away. That's just, the three basic things there, but they can make a really big difference.
Yeah, it's powerful.
No, that's really helpful. There's an older man in our church, actually, who often comes over to us and just drops these little pearls of wisdom with us and then walks away. And he came over to us on Sunday, and he said he had been looking through his attic and he had found the speech he'd written for his daughter's wedding 28 years ago. And he said one of the pieces of advice on there was listen with your eyes. I was like, that really struck me. Like, it really made me think. And he just walked away. And that's what he does. He just comes over and drops them. And you just reminded me of that, the way you're talking about where we're actually truly engaging with our partner by looking at them and not at a phone. Like, I would say to you, if you're on your phone, it doesn't seem like you're really listening to me, and vice versa.
I was waiting for the vice versa there. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, are you taking notes whilst Catherine's talking?
Yeah. I'll watch this back later.
And it's not just phones. So my husband Richard has a bit of a love affair with his iPad, so much so the children have given it a name. It's called Ian. And this device makes makes a regular appearance all the time at home. He goes down these rabbit holes. So he'll be reading an article, and then there'll be a hyperlink to something, or he'll think, that's interesting, and he'll look that up.
Yeah.
Now I'm, hold my hands up, I'm bad on my phone, and his would be the iPad, so it is both of us. But I think, it's that intentionality, trying to create that space.
Yeah. So get an old school alarm clock. Don't rely on your phone in the bedroom.
Exactly, you can buy them.
Do you want to do a listener question? I think it's about time we got some of these in.
Yeah, so we have mentioned that we get our listeners to submit some questions for these expert episodes. So one of the things that
this relates
people
a little
were bringing
bit,
up, was how do couples achieve any quality time together in the evenings when their children are grown up and going to bed a little bit later? Is it okay to say to them, it's our time, do your own thing, or should we be prioritising this time with the kids?
It can be hard, can't it? Because I think that time can creep up on you unawares. And when children are little, as you guys know, there are other pressures, but you do actually have the evening once they're in bed, which is not the case so often when you've got teenagers. So I would say a big mistake that Richard and I made early days of our marriage, or I made, was to think that I was somehow letting our children down by, putting them somewhere else and spending time with Richard. So he asked me if we'd go away for a weekend, and I said no. And that was the reason why, because I thought partly it was very complicated to get anyone to look after them. We have 4 children, and that was quite an ask. But I said no, and I was so wrong in that, because there's lots of research that says that one of the best things that you can do for your children is to nurture your marriage relationship. So so I would say, number one, it's not a bad thing to do. Now, obviously, we do need to be investing in our parenting, and that's a lot of the work we do at Care for the Family. But so it's both and. And I would say one of the best bits of advice we were given was to set some time aside each week for, it sounds a bit quaint, doesn't it, a date night, but some time where you can actually focus on each other, where you're not, catching up on the DIY and emails, or, doing the laundry or whatever else. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It can just be, glass of wine, or light a candle and have a nice meal at home, or just something that means that you focus on each other. And if they are teenagers, they probably are out and about a bit. So seize the moments when they aren't around to do that. So we used to, on a Friday night, they used to go to the youth group. So that's when we'd try and have our date night. But it's looked different over the years. And there was a bit of time when I was at home during the day, and Richard, my husband, was at work, and I used to go down to the office and we'd have a coffee at lunchtime, and he would put in his diary, in his work diary, that he had an appointment with a client, and nobody knew it was me. But it made me feel incredible. Well, it made me feel really valued that he had prioritised that time. And we'd just go for a coffee. But the regularity of that, I think, weaves itself into a relationship over the course of time. So it's hard work. There's little things saying plan it, prioritise it and protect it. And you have to be really intentional like that, because stuff happens, life's busy. But if you put that, right in the diary, then even in the teenage years, then you're getting some, you've got a space where you can connect and remember why you love each other.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful, what you said about it doesn't have to be a big thing. Yeah. I think I fall into that trap a lot when I think of date night, and I'm like, I need to get a babysitter. That's really difficult, and I need to do this, I need to do that. Yeah. We have to go out somewhere. It's a lot of effort. But the best times we have are whenever we're just making that intentional time to talk to each other. Yeah. And that's when we connect the most, I find. So you're right about, the intentionality is really key, isn't it?
I was going to say, I think you're being hard on yourself. I think you're definitely better at it than I am.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, no, definitely, because this is like the love languages thing, isn't it? And we could take love languages for granted here at Care for the Family, because we're all fluent in it. But I think for you, you're very good at making quality time and putting the effort in. So like one thing you did one time, this was when we were married 2 years maybe, something like that, and we were renting this house, and it was my birthday, and we didn't have a lot of money, we couldn't really go out anywhere or do anything like that, but you'd set up the little table in the bedroom.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
A little candlelit dinner, with my favourite food on it, and all. I think it might have been my birthday. And it was lovely. Yeah. And you've done that a couple of times, whereas I'm like, it's the anniversary, right? 5-star hotel, can we afford it? I immediately go down big. But I think a love languages thing is a really important thing to know, though. Like, have you found that? Is love languages really helpful? I know we talk about it a lot in Care for the Family, and particularly, I think, as we're going through couple goals, it's already come up a couple of times. What's the use in having love languages, and should everybody do it?
Yeah, we discovered them about 12, 13 years into our marriage, and it was like a light bulb had come on. It really was. It was so impactful, because we realised that we had been trying to show each other that we loved each other in a way that the other didn't really appreciate or understand. So there's 5 different ones on there. So words, time, touch, gifts and actions. And different people receive love in different ways, generally one of those 5 ways. But our default is normally to want to try and do that for the other person. So my 2 are words and gifts. And I remember our first Christmas buying something nice for Richard, wrapping it up and presenting it, lovely on Christmas morning. And he unwrapped it and kind of put the paper on one side and moved on to something else. I was like, does he not understand the amount of love I have given to this gift? And but we've had to learn over the years that actually they don't mean much to him, gifts, but they mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we've had a few misses over the years on that, but we're getting there now. Recently, he'd been away, and he was coming back, and they called in a garage with the friends he was with, and he said, I'm going to get Katharine some flowers. And all that were there was some very wilted orange carnations with this little reduced sticker on. So not my favourite sort of flowers. But do you know, he bought them and I loved them because it was the thought. It's not about the money. Whereas for him, it's more action. So that he will clean the kitchen and then be quite upset because I'll come in and I won't even notice that it's been done. And I remember it was way back, a long time ago now, but my 30th birthday, there was a bit of intrigue before, just the week before, and sort of few conversations and that came to an end when I came in the room. And then on the night of my birthday, I remember coming downstairs and there was this room full of people and he'd done this surprise party, which I pretended I liked, but I did not. It was the last thing I wanted to do.
No.
That was a mistake because 40 years on, my 40th, 10 years on, he did the same thing.
Oh, no.
So another party. And so if it wasn't going to happen again on my 50th, I realised I had to do something. And that's when I realised, he's trying to show me he loves me by doing something, by this surprise party.
Yeah.
So I did say that this wasn't my best way of celebrating. But then I realised I needed to do that for him. And I remember his birthday was shortly after that. And I arranged childcare for our kids and we went out for lunch somewhere to a really nice place that he had always wanted to go to. And honestly, I lived off those brownie points for about 10 years after because it was so impactful. He really felt loved. So I think particularly if any couple is struggling and feeling like they're sort of losing that connection, which is so easy to do, just beginning with what are your love languages and are you really speaking to each other in a way so you feel loved? That's a great place to start.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it is actually very, very helpful. And we've found that. So I think we've both got acts of service, actions as our top one. But then very close for you is words.
Words, yeah.
Next one for me would be physical touch. Words is my bottom one.
I think physical touch is my bottom one.
Yes. So it's quite interesting because, I think words in many ways may be your top one because I have a phrase and it's not helpful for our marriage in some ways is action, not words. About most things, I'm like, it's all words. Come on, show it. But the problem is LJ really needs words.
Words are really important to me.
They're really important to you. And I don't naturally lean that way. So I would be, I don't know, like I might get up. I get up early and I'll like do stuff with the kids and I'll kind of do that and I'll let you lie in a bit, and that's that kind of thing. And I'm in the background, kind of going, "She's going to notice." I'm running on 6 hours here. You got 9.
I need more sleep than you.
But what you would love is literally just a little note.
I know. Like, again, it doesn't have to be much. It could be like a little, even if you just tore a bit of paper off something and just wrote something quite nice on it. Like, it just means the world to me.
So every now and then, I'll try and remember, I'll leave like a little, and I have to do it in my way, which is usually really stupid and try and be funny. I would like, I don't know, nice bum. And I'll put it on I'll put it on a Post-it note and I'll stick that, but you'll keep it.
I do. I keep notes from people, from friends and everything.
Well, I'd be like you because words are really important. And the other thing I think with that is that then harsh words or a quip or something is much more painful for someone for whom words are their love language. Richard, words probably aren't top of the list for him, and it will be water off a duck's back if somebody says something. Right. But for me, I take it really to heart because words are important. Yeah. So there was another birthday, but we were out at a restaurant with a friend, 2 friends, having a pizza or something, and they came with this card, and honestly, it was amazing. They had written the most ridiculous things about me that was completely over the top, but all down one side. It was really, really lovely. And I opened it, and I thought, oh gosh, that's amazing. And Richard leant over and he said, guys, it's only Katharine. Oh. And honestly, in that moment, my little birthday balloon popped. And we sorted it out when we got home. But it was a good lesson for us to realise that not doing the love language or say actions is your thing. If I don't do something that I've said I'll do, Richard does loads of stuff around the house. He's amazing. But if I'm forget to do something, that will mean more, be more kind of noticed, I guess.
Yes.
Than otherwise.
Yeah, it gets picked up on more easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it means more.
Yeah, and I think similarly, you'll throw gushing compliments to me quite frequently.
And I quite enjoy doing it because Luke is quite hard to embarrass. Anyone who knows him knows that he's not afraid of attention and quite thrives on it. But one way that Luke can get embarrassed is if you gush over him with compliments. He doesn't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it.
Do you like it?
No.
No, he squirms.
No, I squirm. I really don't like it. I don't know what to do with it. If someone says, "Hey, good job, that was good," I'd be like, "Okay, thanks." If they go, "No, that was amazing. You did such a good job." Or if LJ would be more like, "Oh no, I love you so much. You're so caring. You're so this and all that." I'm just there going, "Shut up." Like, I'm inside. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But if I woke up and I found that, for whatever reason, I don't know, the house is super tidy or something like that. And you do keep a tidy house anyway. We both do. But that kind of thing. So normally I would do, I don't know, I'd feed the cat. I do the minging jobs.
Yeah, the bins.
I empty the bins, all the gross stuff.
I did the bins one day,
and if you did the bins, I'd be like, "Oh, thanks, babe."
It doesn't happen often, to be fair.
No, I'm still doing the bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever got the spider out of the house, I mean, wow, there you go.
I did get one out the other night. There was a giant one came in the front door. And I thought it had to go quick.
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it did happen. It did.
Let's jump to another listener question. So we've got one here. How to reconnect, specifically physically, with your partner when you're trying to reach individual goals, family goals, and carrying on with busy lives. Yeah.
That's a big question.
That's a big question.
I think, well, sex is such an important part of marriage. There's a lovely quote in the marriage book by Nikki and Silly that says, it's not the icing on the cake, it's an essential ingredient of the cake itself. So realizing that actually it is important in terms of nurturing our relationship, but so easily becomes the casualty of tiredness, busyness, and stress. So I guess that might be behind that question.
Yeah.
And I would say, just begin talking about it. Quite often in a marriage, one husband or wife will be wanting sex more than the other. And so just beginning talking about that and our different needs and expectations. So much of this is about missed expectations as well. And then I would say, make time. It's nothing, we plan everything else in our lives. And somehow we think we shouldn't plan our sexual relationship. And so I think just even planning the possibility of sex, if you've got children, when they're not around, when they're in bed, or, might have to be a bit creative about the time and the space, but it doesn't always have to be last thing at night in the dark. There are other opportunities. So I would say, and also just start where we feel comfortable. If a couple feel they've really drifted apart, you might just want to start by just sitting close together and just sharing space and giving each other a nice cuddle or something that doesn't necessarily have to lead to sex, because that takes the pressure off a bit, I would say.
Would you say then there's a difference between intimacy and sex?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think so. I think intimacy is bigger than sex. I think intimacy is about closeness and about connection. I think I would define intimacy as doing something with Richard that I wouldn't think about doing with anybody else. It's a very, very intimate thing.
Yeah.
And I think you can have emotional intimacy and spiritual intimacy. So talking about, your deepest fears and your concerns in a way that you might not with other people. That's an intimate thing.
Yeah.
I would say, Richard and I have a faith, and we would pray together, and that's a very intimate thing to do as well in terms of spiritual intimacy. So I think it's things that draw us together in that kind of close in a close and special way. So, and sex is an important part of that.
Yeah, and you could link it with one of our values here, Care for the Family, is vulnerability, isn't it? And it's being completely vulnerable with each other in a way that you are never vulnerable with anyone else.
Yeah.
That's really good. I think it'd be a good time to go to a break.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to jump into another listener question. So please stick around and we'll see you in a minute. Could your relationship be on autopilot?
Drifting apart is one of the biggest reasons why couples decide to call it quits. If you'd like to invest in your relationship, you're going to love Going the Distance, a new event from Care for the Family.
Katharine Hill and Philip Gennaro share their warmth, their wisdom and their honesty as they help you to spot the warning signs, avoid the roadblocks, and to help you continue on your journey together.
Going the Distance is going on tour across the UK this October. You can book your tickets now at cff.org.uk and search for Going the Distance.
Welcome back from the break, everybody.
And we're here with Katharine Hill, and you mentioned earlier, Katharine, that you have decades of experience, working with families and that. What were some of the red flags that you may have noticed that indicated there was disconnection happening in these relationships?
Yeah, so, certainly as a family lawyer, when so often there would be someone who would come to see me and all their hopes and dreams were shattered. Nobody starts off on married life not expecting it to go the distance. We want to make our marriages work. But so often it would be that couples had just drifted apart. They stopped communicating about the things that matter. They stopped spending time together. And just little by little, almost by attrition, they found that they didn't really know each other anymore. The other one would feel lonely. Often there was something that had happened that had precipitated them coming to see me, so an affair or some other circumstance. But those things never happen overnight. There's always a backlog of disconnection, really, that has built up that's led to that moment. And I think many couples, we probably have the opportunity to spot some of those signs in the everyday, even in our marriage. So when our 4 children were little and my day involved, Play-Doh and the goldfish and the school run and all the stuff of family life, and Richard's day involved the office and all the sort of busyness of that. And we reached a time when we realised that we were living parallel lives. We had what one person once called creeping separateness had begun. We were just no longer being interested in each other's worlds, and we weren't. Often the marriage vows that we take have this word cherish. We weren't cherishing each other, weren't looking out for each other, valuing each other. And for us, that was quite a moment to stop and think, hang on, we need to make some changes if we're going to continue that and to keep building the friendship that we believe is the foundation of our marriage.
Yeah, the daily grind can kind of just very slowly kind of work away at your relationship, can't it? And you don't really notice it, and life is busy, and it's very easy to just, to slip from those habits maybe of the early years where you're cherishing one another, you're doing all the romantic gestures, and as the years go on and other things come in, those little habits just kind of slowly fade away, and we can start to disconnect from each other.
And we start taking each other for granted. And I think we change as well. So, and just adjusting our step. I'm very different from the person that Richard married, and he's very different from the person. I mean, we're the same people, obviously, but we mature, we have different experiences of life, different stresses, different joys. And so I think being able to change together as well is an important part of that.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm thinking back to what we were talking about earlier, throwing in, these little plastic devices in our pockets can't improve things, surely. Like, in your experience, like in all the things you've looked into and researched, have you found devices have accelerated this creeping separateness? I
think they have. There's obviously the distraction, and then we're looking in our screen and we're involved in another world. I quite often like if Richard's driving, I take the opportunity just to sort of, do some admin on my phone often when I'm in the passenger seat. And he said the other day, it's like you're in a different world. We're not having a kind of shared experience at all. And sometimes it's just, practical and pragmatic to just get on and do that stuff. But if we multiply that from the other stuff we're looking at, and that's how things like pornography can creep in. Often then we hear of people that have caught up with somebody that they were romantically attracted to years before, and that's come in through the phone as well. And so all these things actually can become a real threat to a marriage. I mean, pornography is increasingly common, but it doesn't produce intimacy in a marriage. So, and I know, there may be many people here listening, and that's an issue in your marriage. And I would just say, get some help, phone us at Care for the Family, because it's something that's easily resolved, but it's something that's so subtle, and it can really, eat away at the heart of our sexual relationship and our intimacy together.
Yeah, it's so pervasive as well, because it is just everywhere now, and you are carrying these things in your pockets, and the accessibility is ridiculous. It's absolutely ludicrous. No, thank you for sharing that. Before the break, we said we were going to have another listener question.
Yeah.
So let's jump straight into it. How do you overcome the empty nest syndrome? It's happened since the kids have left home, and now we find ourselves in a quiet house, not really knowing how to connect. Any advice?
Oh, good question. I think, not every marriage has children. So, but we all do go through different seasons of marriage. And for this particular couple, it's the issue of the children. They've invested all their time, or a lot of their time, as we probably need to do, but bringing up their kids. And then suddenly the children leave home, and you're left looking at each other thinking, well, who are you? And so that can be very hard. But it might be something else that, and people can fill in the blank really as to what it could be, a career, and then that's a career change, or other things that have occupied our attention, and then it changes, and we look at each other and think, well, what have we got in common? And so there's a lot of research that talks about friendship being a really strong part of the foundation of a marriage. And so I would say go back to what are the things that you loved about each other in the first place. What are your interests? Can you just do things like, cooking together or going on a walk together? Quite often, if we're going to the supermarket, it only takes one of us to get in the car and go there. But we'll try and go together because that just makes the most of shared experiences. And if you like going to films, or you used to, and you didn't used to do that when the children were around, then that's something you can do. There's loads of opportunity because you have more time and space than you did when you were occupied doing all these other things with small people and then teenagers in the house.
Yeah, it's trying to maintain that identity of you being a couple, isn't it? Alongside being identified with this particular person's example as a parent, because once the kids are gone, you're still a couple. Yeah,
and I think it's easy to maybe forget that you had that friendship in the beginning, and that's where your relationship kind of came from in the first place. And like you mentioned, there can be different seasons of life, and maybe you start having different friendship groups as well, and your lives can just become quite separate. Would you have any advice for couples there in how to maybe keep their worlds not too separate and their worlds to be kind of one and in alignment with each other?
Yeah, I would say find those things that you can enjoy together, or new things even. I think friends are an important part of that as well. We've got good friends that we can now have more time to spend with because, we're not spending so much time now with children, although I have to say we now got grandchildren and they seem to take up more time than ever. I think one bit of very wise advice that we often talk about at Care for the Family is this: a slower day never comes. And we think, when the children leave home, when I've got that promotion, when I've decorated the bedroom, when we've done X, Y, or Z, then we'll have time for each other. And actually, the time we've got is now. And so it's worth investing in that time right away.
Yeah.
Is it ever okay to have separate interests? I was just thinking then. So we want to have shared interests so we can bond together. But I'm just trying to think of people listening in, and they're wondering, do we have to do everything together? Or is there a way to have separate interests that it's not taking away from the relationship? In fact, it's actually strengthening the relationship maybe because they're having time to focus on their passions. Or is there a time to do that?
Definitely. I think it's really important to have a good balance between our own interests and things that we do together. It might get a bit boring if we're doing everything always together. So we've definitely, in our marriage, we've got different things that we're interested in, and and that's really, and then you can bring that into the relationship. And I think one of the keys is to be interested in the other's interests. So if they're talking about them, it doesn't have to be the thing that you're really excited about, but Richard likes cars and reading about old cars and all this sort of stuff, and he'll talk about those. I'm not the least bit interested in that. But I want to be in, because I love him, I want to be interested in the things that he is interested in. So, it's about listening and showing appreciation. But I'm not going to suddenly be going to a car rally or anything, because it's just not my thing. So I think having both brings a lot of colour to the relationship, having your own interests, but also stuff that you do together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, one of my obsessions is coffee, isn't it?
But I benefit directly from that, so it's okay.
Yes. So I've managed to weasel that one in.
You have.
Quite nicely.
Yeah. There is many, many different coffee brewing things in our house that
I've seen the scales. I've seen the scales.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Well, you don't know if it's a good coffee if you don't weigh out your beans. Just saying. Hot take for today. That is really, really helpful advice, Katharine. Thank you for sharing all this wisdom with us. It's been brilliant, hasn't it? We've learned some stuff.
Great. Thanks for being with us.
Where can people keep up with you? If what have you got going on now, for example?
Well, going on now. So this Saturday coming, our youngest son is getting married. So that's very exciting.
Congratulations.
And then after that, I'm on the road. So on the road with Care for the Family tours. So the first one, Left to Their Own Devices, Parenting in a Digital World, how to navigate the digital world, keep our kids safe, but make the most of all technology has to offer. And then Going the Distance, which is our event for couples. And so really pleased to be speaking on that as well this month. And I'm on Instagram, Katharine M. Hill, through Care for the Family, and other channels.
Brilliant.
Great.
Thank you very much, Katharine. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. It's been an amazing first episode with one of our experts, and we've had a great time, haven't we?
We have. It's been fab. So if you've got any questions that you would like to submit to our experts, please do just let us know, and we'll keep them on board, and you might hear them in the next one.
See you in the next one. Couple Goals was brought to you by Care for the Family. We produce shows, resources and events to help strengthen family life all across the UK. And it's because of the generous support of thousands of people just like you. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please consider partnering with us in our mission. Visit cff.org.uk/donate to find out more. Thanks again, and we'll see you at the next one.